Hello everyone, welcome back. It's been a while. I haven't posted a writing vlog in quite a while. I honestly didn't think I'd be posting one for quite some time. I just came out with my podcast episode that goes kind of into my inspiration for writing and what inspires me, literal things, like random things that inspire me. Check that out if you haven't. But I kind of thought that was going to be the trajectory of the writing I would be doing on my channel for quite a while because I felt like I was kind of running out of steam with my fantasy book. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just didn't feel the passion to continue in this point of time. Not to say that I would never, that's still a story I want to tell, but I don't know if it's the time to tell it for me just yet. It didn't flow through me in a way that I have been feeling about this sci-fi project that I've been thinking about. And I've been thinking about this project since I've been thinking about my fantasy project, like quite a while. And I just kind of pushed it to the back of my mind because I felt like I wanted to finish one project before I went on to another one. But in reality, if you have a passion about something, another topic, another discussion, and it's coming to the forefront of your brain, I feel like it might be best to honor that. So that's what I'm doing in this video. We are starting a new sci-fi novel, and truly, I feel like this is a novel that, as I began to write the beginnings of it, it just flowed through me. And I think with current times and living in this day and age, writing has been something of an outlet for me, and I feel like this book can really be a vessel to those thoughts I have of this world, and I can really pull from my experiences. And it's a book that I feel like is a little more tethered to real life. With fantasy, there's a lot of planning and thinking of world building and things like that, but this book, I'm setting it in a cyberpunk near future sort of setting. With all my books, they're usually inspired by my old books I wrote when I was a kid on like Wattpad and stuff. I did make a video about this. There is 2 books I wrote as a kid that kind of inspired this. It was inspired by the cyberpunk novel I wrote when I was a kid called LAZ. And I won't go into it here, but if you want to know more about it, I have a video called Reading My Old Wattpad Stories. You can get the gist of it on there. And then it was mainly inspired by another book I wrote called like Lover's Escape or something like that. Now, Lover's Escape is what kind of inspired this science fiction book here. A lot of things inspired it. If you want to know more detail about the combination of ideas and coming up with ideas for a book where you can pull from and things like that, check out my podcast video. Is the video right before this I uploaded. I go way into depth about what really inspired me to make this book. It feels so natural to tell this story, and it's not one I'm really planning out the way I planned out my science fiction book. The brainstorming is a backseat here. It's one of those where I just am writing as I go, and the story kind of builds itself, and that will just be my first draft. I can plan it out after, but right now I just feel like the words come to me, and I just need to write what I envision and what I hear. But anyway, Lover's Escape was practically about a journalist telling a story of someone she once knew. It was about this relationship she was in with this guy for years, and it kind of took place in our world, so I'm kind of more taking from my cyberpunk aesthetic I was going with my other novel. Essentially, it is about someone becoming the thing that they hate and what a revolution looks like for a person, for the collective. This book kind of follows the same format where our main character is telling her story while telling her story. It opens up in an interview. She's being interviewed by something you don't know, and beyond the walls of where she's being interviewed, a crowd is roaring. Are they for her, against her, for this, against this? You'll have to read to find out. But I'm still in the brainstorming, the overarching plot of this story, but I know what I want to have in it, and I do want it to center a relationship. I don't know if it's going to be romance. I really can't say that because it may not be something romantic. I feel like it probably won't be romantic. It's going to be about a relationship, that's for sure. And there's just things in my real life I wanted to pour into this story, especially about spaces and the connection of music and euphoria and raves and community. And yeah, I know the themes that I want to include in this. How it's going to be executed is literally being done, so I don't know. But really my goal with this is to lead with my heart and how I feel like this story is going to unfold with my first draft. And so far it's just been writing. I might make some art for it though. I have been thinking about the art and drawing the two characters. But yeah, I feel like I have less to say about this one than I did with my fantasy, because I think its strength is in the details and in the dynamics of their relationship and how the story is told. I feel like how the story is told is very important. She's telling her story to us while being interviewed about her story. It feels like it is just writing itself, yeah. It's just, I've been writing a lot of it and letting myself do that. So let's see what we do in this vlog. Maybe I'll make some art. Maybe I'll actually sit down and do some brainstorming and just get to writing. Anyway, let's get to writing. How are you guys feeling about my setup? It looks cuter, right? I feel like it's giving February vibes. I never really do pink. I feel like purple is fitting for this. Damn. Grammarly is yelling at me. It's a lot of text. A lot of it is quotations, like a lot of characters are speaking to one another, at least in the beginning so far. And I don't know, I love a book like that where there's a lot of dialogue. I love reading something dialogue heavy where the characters are talking to each other, and it's about like examining a dynamic between two characters in just what they say to each other. I don't know, I feel like text is just so important and less heady. Like, I do like being in a character's head just enough, but I really do like reading more of their actions or them telling us something instead of, I felt like this and it felt like this because I thought about this and this. It's like, I don't know, that's just not my favorite. I really like dialogue in books is what I'm trying to say. It starts with her swearing to tell the truth of her story. I don't know if the story is going to be told linearly. I think it might be one where you're jumping at points in the characters' lives and then you eventually catch up because they have a long history with each other. I don't want it to be too jumpy, okay? I read like a graphic novel not that long ago and it was so jumpy. Like, it was so jumpy. I was like, I don't even know what point of time this is going here. So I really don't want to confuse readers. The people asking her questions are asking things we would want to know too, right? It makes you wonder what point in time you're hearing the story. I think that is something that's compelling, that could be compelling in the background. You know, you're like, when is she writing this? Where is she? Who is talking to her, interviewing her? What's going on? I think what I would do with brainstorming for this, I think I'd make like a document on like Milanote or something, and I'd have each character and then events that occurred at times in their life that were like important or pivotal, and that might lead me to connecting the story. So honestly, I might hop onto Milanote and work from there. I'll name it Project LZ based off my old Wattpad novel. All right. I don't have any art for these characters right now. I kind of hate that I don't. Let me just put main character 1 and main character 2 and call it a day. They have a template for a novel plan. Damn. I don't know if I could be this organized. That's really cool, but I don't think my brain can work that structured, unfortunately. Let's get started. All right, guys, I've done my first little bit of formatting or brainstorming. I do have some pictures here of like the vibes I've had on my Pinterest. I don't, like, there's not a lot there. I'm very much in the early concept phase of this book, but I'll put like a picture here of like what I have up on the board behind me. A lot of brutalist spaces, dance and forms of expression, euphoria, a lot of hard and soft. I don't know, I feel like that's like an overarching theme, hard and soft, with the characters, with the environment, with the feelings. I forgot to add one more picture, but I kind of am scared of like turning people off to the idea of cyberpunk or sci-fi if they're not a sci-fi reader. I think people think of sci-fi as some sort of so removed from reality and aliens and flying saucers and green Martian men, and it's like, science fiction is so tethered to now. Like, its human element is so strong. Science fiction will always be my first love, even in front of fantasy. Okay, I didn't get back into reading by reading fantasy, really. It was more like science fiction, even though it can be like sci-fi fantasy. There's a whole discussion about that. If you want to know more, watch my podcast. But science fiction, its connection to our world makes it easier for me to write, other than my fantasy novel that I was like kind of not like struggling, but I really wanted to tell an optimistic story. I wanted to keep the elements light, I felt like, in my fantasy story. And here I don't have to be scared of getting too dark. I don't have to be scared of getting too dark with science fiction and like allowing that, because I think you need to have both. And I think I'm realizing that, I feel like I was trying to show a model world when it came to my fantasy, like a world of like how beautifully this runs, when in reality like that can never happen. I was really trying to craft a world where it was really good for the people living in it, some sort of semblance of a utopia, but then there also be conflict. And I really have to eventually sit there and sort that out with this book. The world is what it is. It's brutal. I feel like moments of softness in a world like that feels so rewarding. But anyway, I just wrote out pretty much experiences each of the characters go through and then where they connect. And I'm going to keep that going. I have more to write. I have more than that in my head. I still don't know how closely connected it is to our world. Like, I don't know if I want the story to take place in a specific city. I feel like some sort of drawing is next. I feel a drawing tingling in my brain. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'll check in with you guys soon. This looks so good. Hello guys, it's a few days later. I wanted to just come on here and talk about writing just for fun, for practice. It's not something that I feel like I usually do, but I kind of just broke into it and it felt really fun. And I think I've underestimated the power of just writing for practice and not just for a specific story idea that you want to see completed in some way. I don't know if that made sense, but just writing for fun. My boyfriend had a school project that he had to do, and it was for his creative writing course he took, and he was just trying to come up with ideas and write something. And he had to write a short story for his class, and he was going through the ideas. He didn't really know what to do. He had an idea of like a man and another guy in this car going down this road, and they don't know that, and the man doesn't know that he's in purgatory and going to be judged for his actions in life previously, which were bad actions, and now also being judged in purgatory. And it ends with, them going through this crevasse or this gate, to the underworld pretty much. And I thought the idea was interesting, very Dante's Inferno kind of biblical feeling. He was really like stumped. He didn't really know what to write. He was having trouble. I'm like, maybe I can write something as well and get the wheels turning. Maybe I can turn this into an exercise for myself. And so I wrote a short story. It was like 2 pages long, and I just tried to keep it concise, because when you're tied to something shorter, I feel like the creative wheels have to turn in order to start the story in a very interesting way and wrap it up very compellingly. I think my writing is very much more, I don't know, he said, my boyfriend called my writing cerebral. I don't know really what that means, but it's very metaphorical and things like that. With the writing, I started off with them seeing a man with a cart. They're on this dirt path and they're in a desert. The man looks behind him and sees that the sand washes over the horse, and he sees a man in the distance. This guy is bad. He usually robs people on the street. This is the kind of character that he is. He's not a good guy. And so he sees this man with his wagon, and he immediately assumes him to be a beggar, right? So it's third person. So the beggar, the man, and then there's a figure that is also with the man, which is death. But it's never stated that the figure is death. It's just the figure. Anyway, as the story goes, the wheel kind of breaks off from the cart. It hits the horse's leg. It kind of propels him to go into meeting the guy, because he starts off with wondering if he should help him. The figure beside him, Death, says nothing. He goes up to him, the beggar, and he sees that the baker's wearing very clean clothes, and he's just carrying this cart, and he's asking him, like, who are you? And he's not really giving a straightforward answer, and it's kind of starting to agitate the guy. He then takes his bloody knife out of his, I don't know, pocket, and he slices open the tarp that's covering, and all that comes out is a bunch of clothes. And the beggar, he's like, what do you do? Like, why are all there just clothes here? And the beggar says to him, like I'm a man that wears many clothes. And then all of a sudden, the figure next to him looks to the dark crevasse and starts slowly walking. The man feels like an apparent loss, that the figure next to him always felt like it was something that was always there. Death was always there. And as the figure left, he wanted to chase it instead of being able to wear a different clothing, being able to transform himself, to take on a different personhood. He had an option here, but instead he chose to the man that had the cart, the beggar, and go off with Death. And I don't have what I wrote with me, but I'll put up what I left my last sentence saying. And I felt like it was a really good exercise. And I don't know, I'm just coming on here to say that maybe just do a little writing exercise. I feel like fan fiction could also be a really good writing exercise, okay? I feel like the world always needs more fan fiction. So write for fun. It doesn't have to be serious at all. And chances are someone would want to read it and someone would find it interesting. So if you want to, put it out there. I need fan fiction. Please write fan fiction and put it on the internet. Can you tell I'm in the slums of AO3? Like, I'm in the trenches of AO3 right now. Can you guess what fandom? I bet you can't. I bet you can't. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hey guys, I wanted to talk a little bit about my main character while showing you guys the painting that I did of her. So I'm gonna move over so you can see the speed painting. I just wanted to do a little yap and tell you about my character and things I've fleshed out a little bit more since writing a little bit more, because this book is very go with the flow, as we know. I'm still fleshing out things about her character, but there's things that I very much know about her that just felt right when this story came to my mind. For me, she kind of really felt like Selena Kyle, like Catwoman. I think what I love so much about Catwoman and Selena Kyle is truly her confidence in her essence. I think when she's on a page, she takes up so much of the space. Like, she commands energy. She doesn't even have to do much. You know, it's in not even trying. And I feel like the main character of this project really is the center of her story. She's confident in herself. She's very self-assured. But I also really like the idea of a character that will take on different aliases or agendas, or really play up her appearance and what she looks like. You'll see in the drawing, like, she keeps her hair short so that she can like put on different wigs. Very much inspired by Selena Kyle. I already knew kind of I wanted my character to be that confident type that always takes up the energy in the room, you know, like when I feel like there's such freedom in a character like that. I guess that's why I love Catwoman so much. I wanted to keep my character like having that confidence, but also someone that is not sure. You know, you obviously have to show your faults in your characters. But anyway, so I kind of drew her with short hair, like a fur coat, like a tight outfit, because I don't know, I always think of cyberpunk and I think of like the fashion of cyberpunk. You're never doing too much with the cyberpunk aesthetic when it comes to outfits. She works in a club, and a lot of the information about what's going on in the book tends to come from there. It's this underground sort of place. A lot of information goes in and out of there, sometimes never comes out, and I think that her working there makes the way she gets information very interesting. I also feel like she's the type of character that is full of expression, not even just what she wears, but she's the type of character that really shows her freedom in how she carries herself, her outfits, her style, how she expresses herself and dancing and feeling free and euphoric and, you know, raves and things like that. I'm just gonna let her like write the story in a way. Like, I don't know. That's all I really got so far, because It's very much still in the brainstorming process. I want to write and like let the character really write itself as I'm writing this novel. So far it's been really fun writing, and I feel like anytime I go back onto my Word document, I just have more to say. I can just read what I wrote last and be like, okay, let's just keep it going from there. So that's what I got so far for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this sparks you to write. That's always the goal with my videos. I hope the concept seems compelling to you. I know I don't have as much as maybe I did with like my fantasy novel because I'm just going about this novel a different way. Hopefully you enjoyed. Check out the videos I mentioned. I know I mentioned them so many times, but I feel like you would really like them if you like this video. And I'll see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!